What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special night of Tuesday night. I'm your host, Mac Dubs.
And I am AJ Witcher.
And tonight, our special guest is Steve. I hope I pronounced this right. Grogan. Now let's bring him on.
All right.
Steve, how's it going?
Pretty good.
How you doing, Steve?
Doing all right. Thanks for not thinking I was bailing. My computer, that email that you write to me, sometimes it's temperamental, and it's like it says a new message is there. I hit refresh, and it's stubborn sometimes. But
Well, technical difficulties. We seem to have had a lot of those over the length of the show.
Yeah.
It's been created. So,
well,
how you doing tonight, though?
doing good. Doing good. Just hanging out. So aside from doing personal training, I also write, and I went to this writers group like a couple hours ago, and that was a lot of fun. And
Oh, that's cool. I write too, man. So that's pretty cool to find somebody else who writes.
Yeah.
So, what kind of writing do you do?
Well, most of my stuff has been. I'm trying to get so there's not such a glare on me. I think that's a little better. It's like it's either too bright or too dark, so we'll have to deal with what we got.
That's perfect right there.
I mean, I started out a long time ago. I started writing short stories and poems and stuff, and I've expanded to like plays, stage plays, screenplays, novels, songs, whatever. I just love writing.
Awesome. Yeah, man, that's cool.
All kinds of genres too. So.
Nice.
I'm into like motivational speaking, so I've started writing a motivational book for youth sports.
Oh, nice. Cool.
So, Steve, you are a fitness trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit, and I got a chance to read over what you'd sent us. Tell us a little bit more about that. We are both very, very interested in that. There was a lot there that I think we could all learn from.
Oh, sorry, I got popcorn stuck in my teeth there. I mean, where do you want me to start?
Well, you said it's not a high interval. I guess it's more or less twice a week for 30 minutes, and you're going to see results faster. Tell us a little bit more about that. That really has me interested because I work out, and I work out every day.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I work out is just a lot of my machinery is up in my room across the hall here. So it forces me every time I go upstairs where my bathroom is, I'll stop in there. I'll throw a couple reps in, and I'll do that. And I'll do that every time I go up. The problem I have is I carry a lot of my weight in my stomach, and I've lost a lot of weight. But also at the same time, when I focus more on my ab workout, I seem to not do as much, but it feels like I overdo it. So with your workout though, how am I able to focus on just doing it twice a week rather than just every day to try to get results?
Well, it's because a lot of exercise programs have people working out too long and too much. And a lot of what they do is ineffective as well. Because if you think about it, you go to the gym and you see a lot of people. I hope my camera allows me to show you. So you'll see them doing bicep curls like this.
Mm-hmm.
or this is one of my favorites, the bent over dumbbell row. And it's like, or the one-armed dumbbell row where you see them. I actually saw a video of what's his name there? Christopher, one who plays Star-Lord.
Chris.
Oh, yes.
Chris Pratt. And he's doing a dumbbell row like this. And like, dude, are you trying to work out or start a lawnmower? No.
Are you sure you're not a comedian as well?
And I left him. I actually left a comment on it. Not that, he probably doesn't see his own really see his own Instagram comments, but I left that comment. And I'm like, because I'm like, dude, this part, this whole raising of the shoulder like that is totally nullifying whatever effect this gives him.
Right.
Because, and this is what a lot of people do. Like when you start to see the bicep curls get heavy, you'll see them doing this. They go they let them fly back like that, so that when they swing forward, this is momentum, man. That's not muscle. That's not muscle tension lifting it. That's momentum. Or they start to do this. I've seen people who they have a dumbbell in each hand, so they're doing one side, and when they start to get tough, they go like this. Like they get their body into it. You'll see the same thing if they try to do chin-ups. They'll be like wiggling their body, struggling to get up. But when you're doing this, your back's not working out because you're doing your the moment of your movement of your body. You're getting your body into it. And the reason why that kind of stuff doesn't get results is because you think about it. Watch me move my arm slowly, doing an imaginary bicep curl now, right? So I want you to say stop when you think during this arc of motion. Say stop when you think my muscle is getting the most work.
Stop.
Right. About there, like in this range here.
Right.
What are people doing when they do this? They're zipping right through that area where they get the most work. But if you lift slowly, like say you do an overhead press and you never lock out, always keep a little bit of a bend there. Same thing if you're doing a seated chest press, you don't lock out. You stop just short of locking out. Because if you lock out, then it's your skeleton, your bones are supporting the weight, not your muscles. And I mean, you could like sit there like all day doing that. Maybe not all day, but a lot longer than if you did this. So we move slower. I mean, it's not the slower that gets the results. It's slower makes it safer. That's one thing. But it also it makes you spend more time in that area, in that zone where you're really getting the most work. And intensity, you got intensity on one side, and then you have duration and frequency on the other. If your duration and frequency is more, well, then it better be less intense, or else you'll very quickly overtrain. But the more intense it is, the shorter and more infrequent it has to be. So
the harder you go, or the more you push yourself, that's when you dial back the rep, or you dial back the duration and the amount of time you work out throughout the week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And it's also well, some people still do like a split routine. Me, I favor doing the full body routine because if the whole point is less time in the gym, why would you do it? The only thing a split routine does, in my opinion, from what I've seen, is just makes you have to be in the gym more. And it's the same handful of exercises every time, because what most of the this is something that never made sense to me, even long before I got this deep into exercise. People would say, "Oh, you don't want to do the same. You don't want to do the same exercises all the time. Like, you might do like a bench press for a month, then your soreness goes away. You better change that up to a chest fly instead, because otherwise your results plateau, and that's. I don't know if you guys are a family-friendly show or if cursing's okay.
Oh, cursing fun.
Okay, that's bullshit.
Mhm.
I always thought that was stupid. I'm like, that's so stupid. If I'm chest pressing 80 pounds for, let's say, I don't know, 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then I realize, oh, it's not as challenging. So I bump it up to, let's say, 100. Well, yeah, it's the same motion, but it's more resistance. So how do you, I mean, if it kept doing 80 pounds for my rest of my life, yeah, then I would plateau.
Well, yeah. It's easier. You're doing the same weight.
Right, but not. You don't plateau because you keep doing the same moves. That's some BS that was thrown out there by people who talk about the muscle confusion theory.
Mm.
Because those people don't understand muscle soreness. People think, oh, I used to do the chest press and I would be sore for like 2 days after, right?
Right.
And as time goes on, you realize, oh man, I stopped feeling sore like a half hour after my workout. Oh no, I'm not getting, my results must have plateaued. I'm going to change to the chest fly or a bench press instead of a seated press.
Right.
And then that pain comes back and they think, aha, now I'm getting results again. No, you're not. It has to do with like the pain receptors in your body. They start to get less sensitive to that stress, to that strain. So that's why you don't have as much what they call DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness.
Oh, okay.
And you're also developing when you're doing this motion sorry, I couldn't see my hands. You're doing a seated chest press.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a certain level of skill involved. And over time, your body makes it. Sometimes our evolution works against us. Your body finds a way to make this easier. So when you switch to the bench press, well, now you're doing something you don't have any skill at because you were doing this, you know. And people think it's the same thing, but it's really not. If you tweak even the slightest thing about a physical activity, any so-called gains or improvements that you saw, they go out the window. For example, take a guy who can run on the road, who goes outside and runs a mile. And he runs a mile on the road in, say, 7 minutes, right? Put him on a treadmill. He's not going to run the mile in 7 minutes anymore. Because you changed the surface. Changing that surface changes, like, every time your feet hit the ground, there's like a different impact going up through your body. And it's you change the slightest thing about an activity and it's like starting over just about. But man, I got kind of lost in what it's the same exercises every time because exercise shouldn't be complicated. You know, that's why a lot of people quit. That's another, aside from no results, they quit because it gets complicated. So we do the same, anywhere from 9 to, I've gone as low as 6, anywhere from 6 to 12 exercises. Always the same. And I mean, I've been pretty much doing the same since I started. And I mean, obviously my results haven't plateaued, you know. And the other thing people say is, well, you do the same ones every time, you get bored. And that's because there's this myth that exercise is like supposed to be exciting and all of that, you know. And it's like, well, the stuff that's really effective is not very sexy to watch, you know. To watch me do this, I mean, how does that compare to like a bunch of like sweaty 6-pack ab people like doing what do they call like speed skaters and
Yeah, I mean, I go to the gym. I go to the gym as well, but I go to the gym and all I hear is I just laugh. All I just hear is oh,
yeah,
oh, oh,
yeah,
and I'm like, dude, it's not that serious, you know?
yeah, yeah. But yeah, and there was what do you call it? I used to do like Team Beach body workouts like P90X and stuff like that. And
Oh yeah,
they were 6 days a week, an hour or more, and I got results at first. But the thing is, when you go from doing nothing to something, you're going to see results at first. But then eventually it catches up to you,
yeah,
and you can't recover in time. That's why the rest is just as important as the doing it. Some might say the rest is more important because if you're not recovered, you shouldn't go back to the gym.
yeah,
So, and like they would have things like, okay, on Monday you do, or on day one you do chest and back, and then day two you do biceps and triceps, and it just was really confusing. This is the same exercises every time, and your results do not plateau unless you stop increasing the intensity. Believe it or not, the reps don't matter, and not even the amount of weight you lift matters really. All that matters is that you hit something called momentary muscle failure, where you can't do another rep with good form. And the intensity of the effort is what really matters, because you don't even have to lift. You don't even have to lift any weights, period. In fact, you can do this thing called time static contraction, and I can actually run. You guys, you can actually do this right where you're sitting. You don't need any gear. You can sometimes you use body weight, you use just yourself. So, for example, for like a chest press, what I'm going to have you do is you're going to take your hands and make it so your arms are like parallel to the ground. You put your palms together, and you're going to be pushing your palms, pushing into each other. Okay. Now I'm going to do one set with you so you can see. So you're going to hear me call out, well, 5 things. You're going to, well, no, 4. I'm sorry. You're going to hear me say 50. That means give 50% effort. I'll say 75% effort. Go as hard as you dare. I'll never say 100%. I'll say go as hard as you dare, because you don't want to go 100% and then hurt yourself. And then I'll say rest. And when I say rest, don't just collapse out of it. Like ease out of it as if you were lowering a weight. Okay. So get your hands in position and get ready. So your elbows are pointing out. Yep. So this will be like the equivalent of doing like a chest fly. You should feel it in your pecs as you do this. Okay, ready? And give me 50% effort. So as you feel like you're just giving yourself like a little bit of pressure there. Right? And the hard part and the guessing game when you're new to this is like figuring out, am I doing 50? You know what I mean? Or if I say 75, like, am I really doing 75? The only moment that's really easy to tell is when you're going as hard as you dare. Now I'll give 75%. And I can driving hard. So you feel that in your pecs here?
oh yeah,
And don't ease up. The only downside really there's 2 drawbacks to this method of training. One is it's really easy to lose the intensity. And the other is, since I cannot feel, hold on, I'll say the other in a second here. And go as hard as you dare. The other thing is, since I cannot physically feel what's going on in your muscles, I can't really tell. You could be bullshitting me, and you could possibly not be giving me 50 or 75, you know?
right.
but I kind of can tell if somebody's not going as hard as they dare. That's like I said, if I don't see them being like by the end, then I know they're not doing shit. Okay, and ease out of that and relax.
My God.
Right,
Oh my
right there. You right there. Is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man.
You see what I mean? And some people do like. Here's the thing: since we don't have like a machine where we can increase the weights to hundreds and hundreds of pounds, some people will do like have people do 3 sets of that.
Mhm.
It all depends on the person. Like if you
So
are
how
not,
long should you normally hold that in place?
like we just did with the 30 seconds and increase the
Okay.
intensity every 30 seconds. It depends on how many sets you do depends on the person, because I mean I'm selling this rap where I say 1 exercise per muscle group, 1 set per exercise, but in the beginning when someone's not, because it's so counterintuitive to what everyone's getting shoveled down their throats by the fitness industry. It's counterintuitive. People don't believe how can it possibly work. So they take a while to get used to doing it right. So since you're not doing it right, you're not putting out enough intensity, you might actually need to do 2 sets. Because you didn't do the 1 as intense as you could have. So after a while, when you give the right intensity, it would drop you to 1 set. And then over time, you can actually drop down to once per week. Depends on how much intensity you put out. There was a guy, Mike Menser, another guy named Dorian Yates. They were pretty big names in this a while back. And I think they worked out every 10 to 14 days.
Wow.
Because of how much intensity they put out. And Dorian Yates won, I can't remember which contest it was, if it was Mr. Universe or Olympia. Whichever one it was, he won 6 years in a row.
Sheesh.
Training according to these principles. Mike Menser got I think to this day is still the only person who got a perfect 300 score in Mr. Universe. No one else has gotten it before him or since, I think. And then people, then people say though, but then, why don't more people know about this? Why don't more people do it? It got buried under mountains of greed, basically. If you go to a personal trainer more often, what do you have to do? You got to give them more money.
Yeah.
So why would they want you to know that you can do it for less? All the supplements they sell, it's like a lot of just money making stuff.
And actually, I'm glad you actually said something about supplements. I wanted to get your thoughts on creatine. Is that something that actually works, and is it good for somebody who wants to increase muscle mass?
I don't know what it is. I mean, I bought some, but I've never fallen into the habit of actually, like, I stuck it on top of my fridge and then I forget about it. But people say that it's good to give you a boost ahead of your workout, energy boost. But as far as increasing the muscle mass, nothing does. You're only going to increase muscle mass according to your genetic ability to create muscle mass. Like I'll never look like, we're not all going to look like Mike Menser or Arnold in his prime, because we don't have the genetic capacity to do it. And I'm not saying in Michael or Arnold's case, but we also, well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not on steroids, so I'll never look like that. I don't think I'll ever get thin enough to even get a 6-pack. But I mean, I'm doing something right because I was 200. When I started this in January of 2020, I was 241 pounds.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And the lowest I got was 160. I'm back up to 175-ish. And that part of it is diet. Sometimes I'm not as strict on my diet as I should be. But I mean, to still go from 241 to be down to 175 and at least maintain that is still, I think, proof that I'm doing something right.
See, and for me, I have this mindset because I was at my heavy, and I'm 5'6", and at my heaviest, I was 283 pounds.
Yeah.
And I noticed you don't really notice when the weight goes on until you look back at those photos. And so for me, I decided to start putting in the work and losing the weight, and I got down to it was 183. They started, and then of course eating habits, not as strict, and they started to creep back up there. So last I weighed in was 2 weeks ago. I make a point to try to weigh in every week. Sometimes I forget, which is okay. Just weigh in the next week. Last I weighed in, I would think it was like 190, 194. I have to check. But it's just one of those things like, for me, it's motivation. If I can stay motivated and keep working out, my biggest, like, I love, so I use 15-pound dumbbells right now. And I do and I don't know if this is a good idea. I often will just think of something thinking that it might work. But I'll start with dumbbells and I'll do or my palms down like this, at my waist. And I put them so I'm holding them down, and where my palms and the weight are facing my legs. And I'll come up in a rotation, and then I'll come back down. Now, you said that different variants, I guess, is not going to change the results. So, is that rotation doing anything different than if I was doing a regular standard twirl?
Well, like I do know, like they have this one little contraption where what it is it's like a this isn't the best visual equivalent of it, but I'll use this. It's like a bar, and it's got a rope hanging from it.
Yes, I know. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you like put dumbbell workout plates on it, and you do this and roll it. It rolls the rope up and brings the plate up, and then you unroll it. And I mean that works. That that twisting works your outer forearm.
Okay.
So I think maybe as you twist up, it would get aside from your bicep, it would get the forearm too.
Okay.
So that would be fine. Not a lot of people do forearm stuff. That would be like a specialization type of area because it's such a small area of muscle.
Yeah. I try to come up with different, like even when I'm working out, I'll do what I call a combination drill. So I'll do a regular bicep, I'll come down, do a hammer, come down, and then I'll do a reverse curl, and I'll consider that as one rep. And I'll do, and that you really feel it throughout. And I noticed that just at 15-pound dumbbells, just doing that, like 5 or 10, every time I come upstairs or something, and I log it in my calendar to see how many I go throughout the day. I've noticed it really gives me that what I'm looking for, and it's that not necessarily the pain, but that burn is just like, okay, I'm really, I'm feeling it, and I know that it's intense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
You know, I,
oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was saying, you know, I coach flag football, and you know, we do exercises before we start uh, learning and doing drills and stuff. And when they do push-ups, you know, they're just going. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
take your time, feel it in your arms, and that's how you'll get your result. If you're just flying through it, you know,
Yeah.
you're not gonna see no result.
Well, I think in the case of if they're going to then practice football after doing that, then it would be, I would say it's okay to do them fast then because you're trying to warm up, you know, for exercises, not for exercise, but for physical activities like that, or like if you took martial arts and you were going to spar, you should do a warm up. But with this exercise methodology, there is no warm up. The warm up's built right into the exercise because you're moving so slow. You're not, I mean, unless you drop the weight on yourself, you're not going to hurt yourself because you move too slow to hurt yourself, basically. And the warm up, by the time you get to the third rep, you're going to be warmed up. You'll feel warmed up. But in the case of like the football practice, you wouldn't want them to do this exercise method and then do practice. No, they'd be too burned out. Well, if they did it right, which hopefully they would, it's like you want to wait at least like 24 to 48, maybe even 72 hours after this workout to do a strenuous physical activity like a sport or sparring in a martial arts or a boxing class. But in that case, doing the push-ups really fast, they wouldn't be getting the muscle failure, but they would be getting warmed up for practice. So it would be all right in that scenario.
Gotcha.
What else is there? Oh yeah, like we don't. I mean, I will if people are big on the counting reps and stuff, but we don't. Normally, I don't count reps because reps don't matter because your muscles can't count.
Right.
The only thing your muscles know is stress. That's the only language your muscles speak, and your muscles will be like, "Geez, I don't know what the hell we just did. We nearly died. We better be stronger in case that happens again." Because if you do a seated press, right,
Mhm.
your muscles don't know what the hell you're doing. You know what I mean? Your muscles don't know.
Yeah.
You're doing a seated press. You could be holding back you could be caveman days where you're holding back like a grizzly bear or a saber-toothed tiger. You're holding them away. You know what I mean? Your muscles don't know the difference.
Right.
That's why the whole thing about, oh man, you did a chest press and now it doesn't hurt anymore. You need to do the bench press. Like that, your muscle confusion. Your muscles don't get confused. Your muscles don't have a brain. They don't have a conscience.
They just get
Confused by,
yeah.
So yeah, I don't count. I don't bother with reps, and I don't even care. I tell my clients all the time because if they think like they start to push out and they get stuck here, and they're like, oh, I can't do it, and they set it down, and I'm like, no, do not sit down till I say you're done, because if you can't budge the machine any further than this, I don't care. I don't care that you can't do a full rep.
You're still getting.
Keep pushing against it.
Because you're still getting the effect.
Muscular work. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and you never know. You might get it this far, and then you're there like, and all of a sudden you find you get something like that. You tap into that energy reserve, and you start to push it again. But yeah, that's doing this. Keep pushing when you can't move it any further. Is like what we did with our hands. It's like the time static contraction. So it's like you're combining it. You're weight lifting at first because you're moving the weights, but then when it gets tough, you're doing it like time static contraction.
Is there anything for the abdomen, like you showed us with this? Is there anything that you do for the abdomen that would be beneficial than just crunches or sit-ups or jumping on an ab machine or anything like that?
Yeah, mainly just the crunches. I'll have them do time static contraction crunches. So they lay on the floor, and I'll say the 50, 75 as hard as you dare. And that's kind of tricky for them because they think when I say 75 and 100 or as hard as you dare, they think it means they have to come up further. But it's hard to describe to beginner people. You got to I'm like, no, don't come up further. Focus on contracting your abs harder. Because when you come up, it reaches a point where you start to be engaging your back instead of your abs. Like for a full-blown sit-up, there comes a point probably when you're just a little bit past this part here, when you start to engage the back instead of the abs. That's
so
why
you're just doing an exercise and then holding it in place right there,
right,
to feel the effects and to gain that muscle, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So is it more like doing like a half sit up and just holding it?
Well, I mean, that's why they came up with crunches are. They look like sit-ups, but they're not sit-ups. To me, a sit-up is coming the whole way up, like you used to have to do in gym class. Crunches are more like about a halfway at best type of thing. So it's like imagine if you were watching a video of someone doing a crunch and they came up a little and you hit pause, and then they came up a little more and you hit pause again, and then you hit pause a third time. It's kind of more like that. You're like you're freezing in a position or freezing at a certain level of intensity. And instead of, I mean, you can keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can. It's hard to show with the chair right here.
Right.
You can crunch up and down. Just never don't set your shoulders fully down until I say the set's over. So you can do that slow motion continuous crunch, but I find it's like people are like, there's no way I can move slow enough to do 5 seconds in each direction. The range of motion is too slow,
right,
or too small. So I just have them do the time static contraction crunch. Unless, well, that's if I'm working out remotely or like in someone's house. If we go to the gym, put them on an ab machine. But and I find too, you don't need to do upper and lower abs. Like you do an ab machine, you're hitting them all. Okay. A lot of people think you need to do like leg raises for the lower abs, but you don't.
They have this machine, and I have it over in the other room. Is you get your knees on there and you grab the bar, and it's almost like you swing yourself up, like, but you're engaging your whole core, and that seems to really, you don't feel it at first, but then after you're done, it's like that after effect where it hits you after you're done with it. It's just like, oh, okay, now I feel it, rather than feeling it in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if you did it according to the way, like if I had time in you saying like, no, slow it down, take 5 seconds,
Mhm.
You'd feel it during. You
So
know,
it's just a matter of taking your standard workout and then
basically slowing it.
down. Okay.
And you might find, like, if you go to the gym and you see these, like, let's say you've been doing workouts the way everybody does, which is really fast, right?
Yeah.
You and you've been doing 100 pounds really fast, like that, and then you slow it down. You might find you have to do 80, maybe even 60, because you got used to doing this, but you're passing so quickly through that moment where you work that now you're hanging out where the muscle really works. You're going to find you can't do that 100. So you might have to drop to 80 or 60. It's hard to, the only way you find out is by experimenting, but yep, you can't do the same weight when you slow it down. Not at
And
first.
what about for so like your legs, and your like legs and thighs? What kind of workout do you have for that?
Well, when people give the right intensity,
Mm-hmm.
all you really need is the leg press, because that hits the quads and the hamstrings, and
Mm-hmm.
your calves are getting engaged and everything. But I mean, if they're not given the right intensity, you can add the leg extension and leg curl in there. Some places also have two other kind of leg machines. They have calf raised machines or calf extension. I've seen ones where, there are some that are designed where they have these pads that are on your shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
and your heels are hanging off of a little platform, and you flex your foot, and there's weights on the machine, and there's these standing calf raises. A lot of them I've seen these sitting, what I would call calf extensions, because you sit there and you push your feet like that, against this
Yeah.
bar. And then there's also the one for inner and outer thighs,
Mm-hmm.
or you either close your
Yeah.
legs or you open them up. But I think those were mainly invented because of this myth that the fitness industry perpetuates, that you can melt fat off of certain parts of your body if you work that part out more. They call it spot reduction. Like when they had abs of steel back in the day and all that, Thigh Master.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, I don't want flabby thighs. Oh, well, we've got this machine now where you can bring your legs together for your inner thigh and push your legs out for your outer thigh. It's not going to melt fat any faster. There's a lot of things, and it's hard to face because people don't like to not be in control. But there's a lot of things about fitness and our bodies and our weight loss and fat loss where we are not in control. We not as much as they want to make you believe. Buy my abs of steel video and you'll have a six-pack like these models in my commercial.
You'll have it in 4 to 6 weeks or X amount of time, they'll say.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And you won't have, you just might not have the genetic ability to have the six-pack.
I saw something, and I thought it was stupid, but I mean, I could be wrong, but there's an old commercial. It's back when I was a kid, actually. So they were like, all they do is just lay there, just lay flat down, and they just put a weight on your stomach, and it's basically you just like, it's like you're you're laying back, the weight on your stomach, and you're just like thrusting up, and you're just holding it for 10 seconds, and then you go like halfway down, and then like you're thrusting up again, and
That
then
sounds
you're
like
coming.
Sounds like it might have been something to advertise like a glute type of work, like a butt workout.
Yeah.
So,
But,
Steve, you had made mention when we were talking throughout the week uh, that you are able to train people remotely, and you wanted to make sure that the viewers knew that you could do this remotely.
Mhm.
You tell our viewers a little bit more about how they are able to get the information, come talk to you, and sign up and give them the information they need that could potentially bring them to you so they could try out your program.
They can go to if you go to the website Steve Grogan SB as in boy, F as in Frank. So Steve Grogan SBF.com. There, as you look down right at the top of the page, upper right hand corner, there's a big schedule now, red button. And if you want to read more, that schedule now button keeps appearing throughout the page. And so there's that. And there's if they'd rather, because when you do that, you always worry, like, did my invite go out there into cyberspace and get lost or whatever? So there's also emailing me directly, Steve Grogan at stevegrogansbf.com. And I'm not even against people like having they would wind up getting it in the email signature anyway. So I'm not even against people like having my phone number and texting me 518-275-2267. But text, don't call, because I am only just getting this business off the ground. So I do still have a day job. So definitely text, do not call.
Gotcha.
I don't need to be in a meeting with my boss and getting a. Well, hopefully I'll be able to. That's the dream, is to be able to, do this enough where I'm able to fire my boss someday. But that's a long ways off. More so for me than for like if it was like a bachelor who had no kids, because I'm married and I have 4 kids, and my wife has two. Although hers are old enough where they're not like, she doesn't have like, there's no like support orders. There's no need for her to carry them on her insurance,
Yeah.
But I do have that. I have the support orders and and have to have them on the insurance, which means higher premium and stuff. And so yeah, I need to be making more than like I said, a childless bachelor. If a childless bachelor started being a personal trainer, they could probably get away with, I don't know, 50 to 75,000. Me, I've got a much higher goal to hit, but I believe where there's a will, there's a way. It's like I tell people will be like, oh, I can't, I'm too busy. I'm like, it's a half hour twice a week. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm too busy.
I mean, even just to do calf raises, like, and I've caught myself doing this, whether you're at a Target or a Walmart grocery store and you're waiting in line, just doing simple calf raises, you really get the effect in your calves just from standing in line.
Yeah,
I believe that you're able to work out anywhere throughout the day, regardless if you're busy or not. Make a workout of it, because I believe that we spend most of our lives waiting in line or waiting for something than literally anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, aside from that too, it's like you can't tell me in this day and age where I know a lot of people who sit around and binge watch things, and then you're going to tell me twice a week you can't like delay your gratification, forgo the binging, and let me help you get in better shape. There's always like I said, 4 kids, support orders, this and that and the other, and yet I was able to find a way to trim out expenses so I could afford my trainer, the guy who trained me. And I mean, if I can, I always say this, not that I have like the hardest life or I earn really poorly or something. I earn a decent amount at my day job, but I've always, if I can find a way to do it, then people who earn more or don't have as many financial obligations should be able to find it too. It's like, to me, I think it's like, this is like, I always said when I was first hearing about, well, when I first realized this really did work, I was like, wow, man. I wanted to become a personal trainer. I was like, wow, this is the ultimate like excuse busting exercise method. People can't possibly use the I don't have enough time excuse. Well, yes, they can, and they do. They definitely do. I mean, and to me, I think those are people who they don't do anything to get fit. They know wanting to get fit is a noble thing to aspire toward. So they say they want to, but they really don't want to. And it's like I've heard so many lame excuses, and I remember one guy, he wrote a book and he got it published, and he was like, hey, he's asking people, hey, will you do a free I'll give you a copy of the book for free if you'll write a review on Amazon. So I read the book. It was a couple hundred pages, so it took me longer than 30 minutes to read the book. And then you have to factor in, I don't like to just write reviews like, I liked it, it was good. No, I put I put thought into it, And then I said to him, hey, I posted my review. He's like, okay, great, thanks. And I said, yeah, hey, I'm starting to I'm going for my personal trainer certification. Now, without any obligation to continue past one session, would you be willing to help me out and let me coach you through? Because I'm trying to develop my rap, my spiel as I coach people through it. I want to learn to communicate in a clear and concise way to people. Would you be willing to do just one session? It'll be a half hour tops. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, man. I take care of my mom. I don't have time to get out of the house.
Yeah.
I'm like, son of a bitch, I just read a 200 fucking page book by you and then sank the time into it to write the damn review, a heartfelt, well thought out review. And then you can't.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm asking 30 minutes. What I did for you took way longer than 30.
Right.
It's like a respect type of thing.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, on the one hand, it's like, well, no one owes you anything, man. And like, yeah, I know he doesn't owe me, but it's just like, in a, what do you call it? Not moral. I don't want to use the word moral. I don't know. I was like, I just gave you like 2 to 3 hours or more of my life, and you can't turn around. I mean, think of letting me train you once is the equivalent of me giving you that review. It's the same thing. And
yeah.
Like, son of a bitch. I just I took the review right back down. I was like, hell with it. No, I'm not. It's just like, I used to have stuff like that happen with like these review, what do they call them? Review trading programs, where like you send someone your book and they review it, and then they sent you give them a review back of their stuff. I'm not even kidding. You know how a lot of times people say, well, 9 times out of 10, no, 10 times out of 10, I would, in good faith, review their stuff first. And I'm like, thanks. Hey, by the way, you reading my thing yet? When do you think you'll post a review of mine? Right. Oh, yeah, about that. I'm sorry. It turns out I just got overwhelmed. I took it on. I was going to do it when you gave it to me, but I've gotten overwhelmed with life now. I can't do it.
It's like
10 times out of 10. What's that?
Yeah. It's like me and AJ here. We're, dabbled with a couple of business partners,
Mhm.
with our show and stuff. We've had this one guy, like we've partnered with. Um, we won't partner with him no more after he helps us out with this one thing because we went ahead and paid half of the money up front, and he didn't even do like half the job. It was like 3.5 weeks, and all he did was just bitch at us about, oh, you got to put the videos up before I can get this done. You got to do this. I'm like, okay, so we do that, and then he goes, well, you need a new, now we need a new set a new company email, and I'm like,
It
no,
was
and I'm like, I see
literally,
where you're going.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
It was
I see where
literally
you're going
jumping
with this.
through,
You're
and then at the
scamming
end of it,
us.
Yeah.
yeah, it was like jumping through hoops, and then at the very end, it was come to find out, it's like, oh well, if you want this to work, you have to start all over again. It's just like we're not paying you to start all over again. We're paying you to help us out with our current channel, our current
Yeah.
what we're working on now. We're not asking you to to help with this and that. And it
Yeah.
just a lot of problems. It's like you learn
Yeah.
from
We
experience, I suppose.
and we sit there
Yeah.
and we told him, it's like our business manager and our money manager sitting there. They're getting pissed with us. We're about to lose our money manager and business manager over your
Yeah.
stupidity and your fault, and we did.
Yeah. It's it's
Sponsors too, even.
it's
Yeah,
hard. It's so because you get to a point where you're stuck in a middle where it seems just as far away to try to move ahead as it does to just pull back, and then you're like, what do I do? You know, like
yeah,
it's like there's no clear solution. It's not like there's one solution that's a mile down the road and then there's one that's right here. It's they always seem to be equidistant, and you're like, what do I do? But you know, I do my best just to let that kind of stuff roll off and be like, yeah, no, just got to go the path of least resistance. Whoever, if I say, hey, can I try to coach you on this? I'm trying to develop my personal training rapport and skill. Whoever says, yeah, you're free this afternoon, just focus on that and not focus on the other type. It's hard,
mm,
and at first, when you're trying to get the word out there, it's a real slog and a grind. It's
yeah.
just you gotta just if you want to be known for it and successful at it, just gotta do it. So that's why I reached out.
Oh, yeah, it's one of those. For every 2 million people that don't want to help you out, there's always that one that's
Right.
willing to keep an open mind and you know what? I'll give your stuff a try.
Yep.
And it's that one that always makes a big difference because that one will go and tell his or her friend, and that one
Yeah.
expands out into a small group, which gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then finally you're starting to meet your goals.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm not I'm not socially I don't have social anxiety, but
Uh,
I do hate going to the gym. I just don't like being around a lot of people working out, and they just look at you. It's like, oh,
yeah.
he can't do that, or that person can't do that. I'm like, yeah, I would rather try and find a workout that I can do 2 to 3 times a week at home and find some progress
Mm.
and
Well, the thing
do.
is, the people in the gym, I always try to tell people this, like they're really not they're not. Maybe there's one every now and then who's super petty and is looking around like, oh, yeah, that fool's gonna hurt themselves or whatever. And it's like me, I don't give a shit about it. Like same thing. I tell, like, this one woman was in a martial art class I was doing, and she's like, "Yeah, I really want to keep coming, but I'm embarrassed. I'm self-conscious because I don't know what I'm doing." And I'm like, everyone here knows that you just joined last week. You know what I mean? And so you're self-conscious. You don't want to do it because you're worried about looking like you don't know what you're doing, which you don't because you just started. But by not doing it, you're never going to get to a point where you'll be better and you will look like you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of like a self-defeating cycle. And on top of that, you could always rest assured that like if you were training, especially if you went there with me and you were training my way, you could rest assured that in like one move, like say we start with the overhead press. In that one move, you're getting more muscular work done than anyone else's entire workout. So, and they're going to come there every day for months and months or years and years, and they're going to be flailing away and slogging away on the treadmill, and they'll be like maybe 2 pounds lighter. And it's water weight. It's just that they sweat. It's not real fat. That's what thing always cracks me up. These people, they go there and they get on the scale at the start and they're like, "Oh, I'm 135." And then they go sweat and they come back, "Wow, I'm 130." You're 130. You're 5 pounds lighter in water weight, man. You didn't burn fat that fast,
Yeah.
And the other thing too, you'll see on you see this a lot on these like celebrity fit shows. I was watching one where the guy was like, he had been like 265, and then he was really exhibited a lot of willpower, and he ate right, and he worked out when he was supposed to, and whatever. They come back a week later, he's down to like only 263 or something like that, and he was all bummed out about it. And the personal trainers were like, "Well, we think what happened is you lost fat, but you built muscle." You hear that all the time. And it turns out you don't build muscle that fast. I think I was reading somewhere, if you gained 3 pounds of muscle in a year, you would be like at the top end of, you got genetically not gifted versus super freakishly good genetics. You'd be kind of like at the top end of normal if you gain 3 pounds of muscle over a year. And people think, "Oh my God, man, 3 pounds of muscle, that doesn't sound like a lot. That sucks." Well, drop a 3-pound steak on the table in front of you, and you'll realize how much that really means. Granted, it won't be there in one big giant blob. It'll be spread out.
Right.
But,
I mean,
it's still, it's.
And just because you're losing, and here's how I've always looked at it, because I've seen myself at my heaviest and then where I'm at now, and it's just because you're losing weight, yeah, you're going to see more definition. And I think that's where people get confused. It's like, "Oh, I'm gaining muscle, in X amount of time." And it's like, no, you're losing weight, which is showing you what you already have that was covered by weight.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that.
Confusion. It's the brain confusion.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed that long time ago, probably early 2000s. I was like doing a sit up, and while I was contracted, I touched my stomach and pressed down through the fat to where my muscles were contracting, and I went like that, and I could feel that like 6-pack, the structure of this, what do they call it, striation of my abs, and I was like, "Damn, I've got something there. You can't see it because of all the fat."
Yeah.
And you know, let's see. Oh, and another thing too is like people, like when we talk about losing weight. No, don't think of losing weight. Think of losing fat. That is one of the few things I hear the fitness industry kick around that I actually agree with, because you don't want to lose. When you say lose weight, you could be talking about losing muscle. You could be talking about losing water weight. You could be talking about even your bones getting like osteoporosis or something like that. You want to lose fat, not weight, and that's what that's why I often, sometimes to try to shock people into a conversation, I'll say things like, yeah, you know that running makes you fat, or cardio workouts make you fat. And they're like, what are you talking about? Look at that 90-pound guy jogging. And I'm like, but well, here's the thing though. It's kind of, when I say it makes you fat, I'm actually leaving out, there's a term that's called skinny fat.
Yeah.
And it's, what it is you weigh only 100 pounds, but in terms of ratio,
Mm-hmm.
you're more fat than muscle, because
it's spread out through your body more than, like, for me, I carry most of my weight, like I said earlier, in my stomach, whereas to somebody else may carry it throughout their body. So that person may look more fit, I guess, or more well built, rather than somebody who carries their weight in one specific area.
Well, that too, but like when I say skinny fat, I mean like when it comes to muscle, your body really does live by the phrase use it or lose it. So if you're not using 100% of your muscle, or as close as you can get, if you're not putting it all to use, your body views it as dead weight. And when you go do your cardio workout and stuff, or whatever, it'll say, oh, we don't need that. He's not using that. And it'll start to break down the muscle before and actually break down the muscle before fat, because muscle is more, I don't remember the exact numbers in terms of calories and whatever it costs you, but muscle is the most metabolically expensive tissue to keep alive, more so than fat. So like if you everything your body does requires energy, right? Even just thinking requires energy, which what is the body's what is an energy source for your body? Well, that's calories are energy sources, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say it costs, I don't know, 100 calories to keep a pound of muscle alive, but I don't know, let's say only 20 to keep a pound of fat alive. Well, if your body, so that's 120 combined, right? So if your body starts to break down that muscle, it's like, oh, we're getting another 100 calories back in the bank to use for things like, I don't know, keep his heart beating, keep his lungs breathing, keep his kidneys working, keep his brain, keep him thinking. Those things are more important to your body in terms of evolution, right? So our own evolution works against us because in two ways. When it comes to muscles, like according to our evolution code, muscle's not important. Your body doesn't care. Oh, if I break down that muscle, he won't look as good on the beach. Breathing is more important than looking good on the beach.
Yeah.
That's how your body thinks. And another thing evolution-wise that works against us is, and again, it's one of the other things that fitness industry people say that I agree with, which is, and you guys, a lot of people have heard this one, that the less fat you have, the harder it is to lose. right?
I've heard something like that. Yeah.
So if you have 100 pounds to lose and I have only 5 and we start working out at the same time, and let's say all the other things are equal, in terms of numbers, like you're going to lose fat way more rapidly than me. And the reason being is because fat is stored energy, right? We evolved over thousands of years of food scarcity. We never knew when we were going to get our next meal. And so your genetic code there learned to hold on to fat in case you go a long time without a meal, you know? And
Steve, I actually have one more question for you. Is
yeah,
we're nearing the end here. Is
okay.
Gee, I lost my train of thought. But that's what it was. So your program, by dialing everything back and doing it the way that you're teaching, you're able to see results faster. Do you have, I don't want to say a guaranteed time frame, but do you have like a roundabout time frame for those who may be wondering? Is like, oh, okay, he says that this program is going to have me see results faster. Uh, is there a way that for those who are very much into the specifics, uh, is there a way that they did it more of like a ballpark number, I guess?
Well, no, I mean, like this one client, I had her do like a quick little like a testimonial for me, and in it she said, "I'm already seeing less fat, and I feel stronger, and even my husband noticed." So I'm trying to think now how long I think she's been with me. Not that long, like 2 to 3 months.
Oh wow, okay.
And the thing is, I mean, it depends, like I said, how much you have to lose. And also, it depends on how you're eating. Because someone tried to knock me down a peg about, like, oh, that method you use, that's not what got you in such great shape. You got to eat right. And I'm like, you'd have to eat right no matter what you're doing. If you're doing P90X or Insanity, or you do strictly a cardio running, you'd still have to eat right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to eat, when you're overweight, you got to eat at a caloric deficit. People think you have to eat more to build muscle, and that wanting to lose fat and build muscle are contradictory goals. And you have to eat less to lose fat. You have to eat more to gain muscle. It's not true. You can gain muscle in a caloric deficit, and the proof is the fact that humans are still here. Because, like I said, we evolved in a caloric deficit, food scarcity. So I guess all those cavemen who could eat only 500 calories a day or whatever, how were they able to survive, though? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if the saber-toothed tiger comes at you, you need to be able to, well, you wouldn't take on a saber-toothed tiger bare hand. You'd probably throw a spear at him, but you have to have musculature to throw that spear hard enough where it's going to, penetrate and take that thing down. You know what I mean? So we had to be strong to still be here,
right.
So you can gain muscle in a caloric deficit. And again, I'm proof of it. When I realized my weight was going back up, I dropped my caloric take to, a lot of people use 2,000 as the standard. The RDA says the Food Drug Administration, you got to eat 2,000 calories a day. So then do a caloric deficit. You say, okay, I'll eat 1,500. Then you do your weigh-in, scale didn't budge, drop down to 1,200. The lowest I ever dropped was like 1,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
But I did continue to lose weight and get stronger. So it's that caloric, you can't build muscle in a caloric deficit. No, not true. You can. Having said that, it's actually, I've come to find out it's not what we eat, it's how much.
Mhm.
Like if you ate, let's say did the Atkins diet,
Mhm.
and you ate 3,000 calories a day of just chicken. So it was no carbs, it's just pure protein and fat, and that's all. You wouldn't lose weight. Conversely, you could eat 500 calories of table sugar and still lose weight. It's not the most nutritious way to eat. No, of course not. No one would argue that. But it's still a caloric deficit. There was a guy who did an experiment. Granted, he only experimented with himself, an experiment of one. He was eating like Hostess cupcakes and Twinkies and ding dongs, but he kept his caloric deficit. He kept his caloric intake at about 1,000, I think.
Mm.
He still lost weight, eating things that were basically nothing but sugar.
Jesus.
I mean, granted, the thing with that, like I said, he was only one person. You don't prove anything really by conducting an experiment of one.
I mean, I
Everybody.
used to have a coworker. Who would all he would eat every day is like in the morning time he'd drink a soda and eat a candy bar, and then at lunchtime he'd drink another soda and eat another candy bar, and then go to the gym. I'm like, dude, aren't you past like 2,000 calories already? I mean,
Yeah. But it's all genetics too, man. Like there was this guy, actor, Christian Bale, for this movie, The Machinist. He was supposed to be really a wasted away looking guy, because he hadn't been sleeping for months, and he had nothing but an apple and a cup of coffee a day. And that was it. And he got down to like 90 pounds. Like it was a movie called The Machinist. So look up pictures of him in The Machinist. And here's the thing. If I ate just an apple and a cup of coffee a day, I guarantee, I don't care how long I did it, a year, whatever, I bet I wouldn't get as low in weight as he did, because it's just not in my genetics to get that low. It sounds crazy. People think like, how can you not eating so little? But
so I have one more question before we have to cut time here.
Yep.
So is it so do you have to basically find like what it is that you have to do like with your genetics for like food wise, and like how to lose the weight and how to eat, or you just basically just go off of whatever one else does?
I mean, here's the thing. Like I say, like the macronutrients and stuff aren't as important. Like, like you got the keto diet that's like eat high fat. You got Atkins who says eat high protein. The only thing I go by is like I will, and since I'm not a nutrition, sorry, there is a difference between nutritionist and dietitian. Dietitian requires more strenuous, stricter rules to be registered for that. So I'm no dietitian. In fact, no personal trainer can really give like specific advice. That's actually beyond our purview. I can say, oh, you should have chicken instead of steak because it's less calories or whatever. But I can't say you need 96.5 grams of protein a day. Like I can't give specifics.
Mhm.
So going by how the recommended daily allowance is 2,000 calories, I would say to someone, start with 1,800 You don't see weight budge go to 1,500, stuff like that. And as far as protein goes, I mean, protein is the one thing about protein is it does help build muscle, repair and build. But you don't need, like, they have all these crazy formulas, like you multiply your lean body mass by 0.75, and then all these different factors to show you how much protein you need. I aim for like 100 grams a day, around that, of protein. And then the calories, like I said, I'm trying to stay between 1,000 to 1,200 a day. And I've also been getting back into, because I slacked off a little on how intense I was doing my workout, but I got back in my groove. And since I did that, I noticed the weight's starting to move the right way again, moving down, So, I mean, to answer the question, it's kind of, I wouldn't go by what everyone else does. And if nothing else, like I said, if you want more solid advice, definitely go see a registered dietitian. They've got the training, more than I do. I've got what I have figured out what seems to be working for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't say, oh, do what I do and do exactly this way, and you'll lose as much fat as fast as I did, because it won't happen. Although I will say, like, people say things like, we all respond to training differently. So that high intensity training you do, that's not going to work for me. I got to do CrossFit or something.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not exactly accurate. We don't respond when they say everyone responds to training in different ways. I think they're thinking of results. Like if all three of us started at, let's say we started at 200 pounds, and we all did science-based fitness. We started the same week, and we all did science-based fitness. We all put all the effort into it, the intensity of effort we could. And then a month later, I'm down to 150, AJ's down to 140, and you're at like 195 still, but everyone responds differently in terms of results. But in terms of the effect of the exercise, I mean, physiologically, we're all three of us are human beings, right?
Yep.
So our muscles are genetically or physiologically the same. All humans have two, unless they had an accident or were born with a defect. More often than not, we have two hands, two arms. Physiologically, we're all the same. So what that means is, if you put enough intensity of effort into your workout, your muscles will respond the same way mine do. It's just I might gain, I might lose fat faster, I might gain muscle faster, but the effect of the workout is the same on everybody, provided they're doing it right. And
well, on that note, Steve, thank you for coming on the show here. It was a pleasure having you. Love to get you back on again sometime, for sure.
Yeah, I would like that. And not sure what, I mean, this was like the introductory to this different, because it's so different from what most people do. This was obviously explaining how it's different. So I'd be open to, whatever, if you had a more fine-tuned, honed-in topic, whatever. I just love talking about it.
Oh yeah,
yeah, for sure. I mean, if there's any other topics that you would like to talk about as well, man, you got our email address, and I'll shoot you our number as well. And we'd like to make this more than a one-time thing and have you back on more than just once or twice. We like to keep everyone coming back on. Oh, and just to mention to you, we are starting another. Um, we are starting another show. It's called the First and Last Hit News. So then this is for like anybody that wants to like give us like news about their product and stuff like that. And we basically like advertise like your fitness program or stuff like that. So yeah, let's stay in contact and work on some things and help each other out.
Okay. And I will say the last thing I'll say, I just thought of this, getting back to when you asked me about the remote options.
Mhm.
Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be on camera in your home or whatever. You could go to the gym, record your workout, send it to me, and I'll critique it so you can do better next time. Now, granted, yeah, you're getting the critique after the fact, which means if you didn't do anything right, you kind of look at it as like, oh man, I quote unquote, I wasted that workout. Don't view it that way. Take what I'm telling you, then go forward, then keep getting better. You know what I mean? That's another option,
Yeah.
which is honestly, that's one I really like because then I don't have to try to be like, oh shoot, am I going to be able to be on the camera the same time as you? I won't have to. So it takes that pressure off of trying to squeeze everyone in. But yep. And so again,
I mean, it's definitely some great options for everybody. Go check out Steve. He knows what he's talking about, and if this program is for you, you know who to go to. So go check him out and come back for another episode of the First and Last Hit. Mac, is there anything you'd like to add before we?
No, just thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing your product and your knowledge about fitness and everything. And just like I said, we'd love to work with you and get more information from you and have you back again.
yeah, man. Yeah, I'd like to help spread the word about the podcast too. And
Yeah, for sure. We'll make sure we get you the link, and hopefully you'll share it to all of your followers. And and thank you. Definitely keep in contact, keep in touch, and have you back on.
will do. Thanks.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care.
All right.
All right. Well, Mac, it looks like we're gonna sign on out here, and bear with me here.